Hey family, welcome back to another banger. Thank you for coming through as you always do, for rocking with me. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification button so you could be notified when there's gonna be more videos out and popping. And also, you gotta come back after the intro because today we are gonna do something different and have a therapeutic picnic. What is that? I can't tell you everything before the intro, so come back after this. All right, y'all. So the first thing that we need for our picnic is food, of course. So I'm gonna grab some cherries. I'm gonna grab, Jello. I'm gonna grab some apples. No, I don't want apples. What's better? Some carrot sticks, some blueberries. Which ones you guys think I should get? Let's go for cucumbers. And then I actually have, I love these things. Let me bring that. All right, so I also feel like we are going to need crackers or something like that. I think I bought hummus and chips, so let's get that. Ooh, pistachios. Chips. And we need hummus. Right there. All right, so these are all of the items for our therapeutic picnic. I gotta put some of these in baggies, maybe take out one of the Jellos, cut up some cucumbers. It's about to be lit. Napkins, we need napkins, of course. Got our napkins. So obviously, in order to have a picnic, we need to find a decent spot, and luckily my grandparents have the most land. So we are gonna go walk and find somewhere to sit. So where is the perfect spot? There's so much to choose from. Thinking to sit back here because I love these trees. Hopefully the bugs aren't too bad. And the rabbits and the squirrels. I have no idea what that's there for. P.S. Yeah, I think back here would be so perfect. So now that we're here, thank you again for joining me. I thought we would do something very new and kind of different for this vlog and do a therapeutic picnic. So today's topic is actually gonna be all about what it's like living with a mental illness, specifically bipolar disorder. And I want to give you guys some insight for this. I'm hoping that whatever I share will help somebody out there, especially if you're supporting an individual, like a family member, a partner, a child with a mental health issue. And I hope that I can enlighten you guys on ways that are supportive and encouraging to those individuals, as someone who has gone through it myself. And I'm hoping that you guys get a better look at what it's like to live my life day in, day out, dealing with a mental health situation. I'm actively stable. However, there are times where it pops up and it is uncontrollable. It's hard to deal with, and I want to enlighten you guys on all of it. Be raw, real, not just show you guys the sunshine and rainbows, but also the very difficult parts. Okay, now that we're all settled, I have our snacks unpacked. We're ready to eat and talk, and Honey is just back there being a spectator right now. She might join us soon. So today I wanted to talk in depth about what it's like to live with a mental illness, specifically bipolar disorder. I could touch on all of my mental illnesses and how they are different but similar and intertwined in a way. But because bipolar, I feel significantly impacts my life differently than the others, I wanted to mainly focus on bipolar disorder. The reason I wanted to do this vlog is because it's really easy for us to get all of our information from doctors or people that have studied mental illness or psychology and have not necessarily struggled with it themselves. It's very different for you to get the information about mental illness from someone who has struggled with mental illness. And I'm not talking about just, depression or self-diagnosed anxiety. I have an actual clinical diagnosis of bipolar disorder type 2. I also have a clinical diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, and I have a clinical diagnosis of depression, obviously, and PTSD. So, what do I want you guys to know, and what do I feel that most people should know about bipolar disorder? So, bipolar disorder, there's two types. One, I would say, is a little bit more extreme / severe than the other types. So I have type 2. Type 2 is not with any manic traits and is not with any psychosis type traits. Type 1, there can be psychosis type traits with that diagnosis. And type 2 is quite different because we do have manic-like symptoms, but it's called hypomania. It's not a full-out mania. So you're probably wondering, what is the difference between mania and hypomania? So hypomania is a less severe form of mania. Mania will usually last, it could last weeks on end, where hypomania is usually a few days. However, if someone who has bipolar type 2 does not take care of their hypomanic state, they can go into a manic state, a full-out manic state. So just because you have bipolar type 2 doesn't mean that you can't have full-blown mania. It's really just a matter of how frequently, and the characteristics of bipolar type 2 just don't have them as, you don't have it as frequent. So that's why it's called hypomania and not mania. Now, the other part of bipolar disorder is the depressive episodes. So you can go through waves of up and down and up and down and up and down. And then you can also have just times where you feel fine. But then most likely, if you're not medicated, you do feel more of the wave, the up and down, and you're easily triggered, especially if you have trauma or you have things that easily upset you, or you have anxiety and depression and other mental health issues that are intertwined in that, then you can definitely have more waves than what you would want to, or what's typical. Now, people always ask me what it's like to have bipolar disorder, and the best way I can explain it from when I was not medicated was the waves. It's just waves, a lot of waves, a lot of mood swings, as people want to call it. I noticed from a long time ago, maybe in my late childhood to early teens, that I always have had a struggle and a problem with regulating my moods. So one minute I'm happy, and for no reason at all, I'll just be moody. I don't want to talk to people. I want to be in my own kind of bubble. I have an attitude problem about everything. And people obviously back then didn't really know what was going on with me. I feel like I often got punished or disciplined because of my attitude, when it wasn't something that I could mentally fix. I couldn't just do it on my own to just say, be happy and be happy. My insides never matched what my feelings felt like, or what I told myself. So if I if I told myself, right now you should be happy, everyone's positive right now, you need to be positive, my insides would not match that thinking or those words that I was hearing. So I always really struggled with managing my mood swings. But then I noticed that when I was going through something, I became incredibly obsessed with working way too much. I didn't give myself time. I didn't give myself grace. I always felt like I had to get things done when I wanted them done. I didn't really take into consideration the fact that things take time, and you just worked 3 12-hour shifts in a row. Maybe you don't need to take 2 more on. And I always just felt like, oh, this is just the way I'm coping. I'm just overworking myself so that I can cope better, when really it was a manic or hypomanic episode and I wasn't aware of it. So I was diagnosed with my mental illnesses in 2012. I had a hard time accepting it. I embraced it to the very superficial and limited amount or way of doing that. I just kind of was like, yeah, I have a mental illness, but I never did anything to fix it or to help myself or to really heal from the trauma that caused it. I just was like, oh, I have a mental illness. That's that. I found that I became more and more resentful against mental health professionals the more I saw them. I didn't really embrace them. There was only one counselor that I had for 4 years that I ever really built a relationship with, because I felt like he actually cared about me. But the doctors and stuff, I all felt like they were just trying to punish me or go against me to do their job and get paid more. I didn't look at it as a serious thing. And it kept coming up in doctor's records, and when I would see new psychiatrists, okay, you have bipolar disorder type 2, you have this, you have that, and I just roll my eyes and I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, cool. So in 2020, early last year, I was super motivated. I was feeling good. I wasn't doubting anything I was doing in life, really. I just felt really good. Yes, COVID hit, so it took a toll on everybody, including my business and, a lot of people's businesses, but I didn't feel any different than I normally did. It was about August, October, that I started noticing I had this momentum. I was adding on work that I didn't have time for. I renovated my entire new studio within 2 days, when it could have been done over a week span or 2 week span. But I still didn't feel abnormal. I didn't feel like anything that I was doing was wrong or not right. And it wasn't until about the 3rd week of October that all of a sudden it just switched off. I went from being motivated and getting work done all the time and having the capacity to take on this client and this client and this client and doing more than I needed to do, to all of a sudden being very tired. I just remember sleeping all the time and not being able to get out of bed, having a hard time getting out of bed. And then I started slowly distancing myself from my friends, and I wasn't seeing them as much as I normally do or talking to them as much as I normally do. And it was one of my best friends that actually mentioned, are you okay? Is there something that you need to talk about? Are you going through anything? And I was just like, I think I'm depressed, but I'm not quite sure. I think I'm depressed, but I think I can handle it. I think I'm good. Mind you, I was not medicated at this time, so I was really just trying to balance my mental illnesses without any type of real support or tools. And I wasn't in counseling. I wasn't seeing my doctor how I was supposed to be seeing my doctor for follow-up. I wasn't doing anything that they recommended. And I just crashed. I just crashed. I just remember feeling tired. I remember being moody. I remember fighting all the time with friends and family and my partner. I remember just being so helpless, feeling I felt hopeless and helpless, and I didn't know how to fix my mood or how to fix anything about what I was going through. So it just progressively got worse. I remember it went from it was okay and manageable to it is out of control and I don't know what to do. My thoughts are literally taking over me. Like, I don't know what to do to fix it. So it became really scary because I remember feeling like I didn't want to be here anymore. I remember feeling like no one loved me. No matter who told me that they loved me, I didn't believe anybody telling me that they loved me. I would look at myself and just be disgusted. I thought I was the ugliest person in the world. I didn't feel like I was deserving of anything. And then it went to like slowly like starting to Google like ways to end my life. And my friend was like, that is not normal. I'm bringing you to the hospital. And I ended up going to the hospital, and I spent over a month in the hospital. And they did a lot of trial and error of like trying to figure out what medication would work best for me. And I was so against it at first. I'm like, I don't want to be on meds. I don't want to be medicated. I don't want meds. You know, that same like stigma and kind of ignorance about medication, I had it. And finally they were like, you need to try it, because the reason you keep crashing every couple years or months and ending up in the hospital is literally because you're not on medication. Please try something. So finally I went on like this trial and error regimen to try to figure out what would work best for me. And it took a couple, tries of different meds, and I didn't feel good. I didn't feel like it was helping me. And they were like, just give it 6 weeks and I promise you it'll make a difference. Just give it 6 weeks. Just give it 6 weeks. You're trying to bargain with me. And finally I just gave it 6 weeks, and I've been so much better. I'm almost mad at myself for not being on medication sooner. Like, that's how great my medication works for me. Now, in terms of how it is to live with a mental illness, so because I struggle with borderline personality disorder, it's like a back and forth type thing. Borderline personality, the main characteristics of that disorder is like all or nothing thinking, feeling like you're worthless, feeling like you don't matter, having very difficult interpersonal relationships. Again, because the all or nothing or black and white thinking, you go from like hanging out with your friends one weekend to the next weekend you feel like your friends all hate you because they didn't call you to check on you. Like, it's that simple that triggers the feelings of unworthiness. So because I had the mood swings and I didn't know how to regulate them, and I had the back and forth of the depressive episodes, the hypomanic episodes, and going back and forth with that, I became easily discouraged and depressed when I thought about my interpersonal relationships. My mood swings would trigger my borderline personality disorder, making me feel like I was unworthy, and that people didn't care about me, and I wasn't loved, and I wasn't cared for, and I shouldn't be here. So that was a challenge in its own, because it's like fighting two different mental illnesses. After my hospital stay, that was a turning point for me, and that was when I was like, you know what? I have to take care of myself. I have to take care of it. I have to just accept that this is my diagnosis. This is what I need to do to better myself. This is who I am. It doesn't make up 100% of me, but it's a large part of me. So I just really tried to focus on the positive in taking care of my mental health and going on medication and going to therapy, and not just looking at it as a bad thing or a stigmatized thing. So a lot of people ask me, what is it like in your day-to-day to live with a mental illness? What does that mean for you? And I feel like I've come to a new normal. I don't really know anything different, other than I knew not being on medication and being on medication, but I don't know anything different outside of who I am and the way I think and the way I process things and the way I cope and the way I respond to triggers. So I guess I just try and make the best out of small moments. There's times where I have forgotten to take my medication, and I see the ricochet effect of not taking my meds when I'm supposed to take my meds. And so I really try and make it a point to take my meds on time, take the amount I'm supposed to take them when I'm supposed to take them, because like I literally depend on it. My ability to function and to cope and to be a good daughter and a good sister and a good friend and a good partner and a good teacher and a good photographer literally depends on me taking my medication. So I've really tried to just implement timelines and things in my life that will help me with remembering certain things. So I have a timer in my phone that reminds me that my meds are due. I have to go take my medication. I try daily to just do a little bit of reflection, self-reflection. What am I doing really well at today? What am I struggling at today? What can I do to help myself when I'm struggling with that? What am I needing to cope better right now? Who's there for me? Who supports me? What are the good qualities I see in myself so that no matter what tries to tell me different, I still keep on track and I still remember who I am and where I'm trying to go with my life and bettering myself. I see my bipolar disorder come up the most when I'm struggling with abandonment, or I'm struggling with rejection, or I'm not coping well with something that I've been through. I noticed that I become very hypomanic. I typically busy myself. That's been my way of kind of coping. But what happens with me, because I have a diagnosis of bipolar disorder, is I busy myself to the point of not being able to handle it. And then I go into a depression. So that has been really big for me. Preventative measures, like knowing this is going to potentially trigger me. So reaching out to my support network prior to me getting into a depressive episode, remembering what my tips and tricks and skills are from my DBT group, which is dialectical behavioral therapy. So trying to remember what those are and how to just accept the situation I'm in, allowing myself to feel what I feel, and just moving on and finding a way to move on. So what I have been doing recently is giving myself a timer or a time limit of how long I'm allowed to be upset about something. So I'm upset right now because this and this happened. I'm allowed to stay upset until tomorrow at 3 p.m. After tomorrow at 3 p.m., I gotta find another distraction or something else to do. Accepting your mental illness doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's gonna know about it. I have been very transparent and open about what I've gone through and my mental health just because I want to help other people. But if you have a mental health diagnosis, nobody's gonna know you have a mental health diagnosis except for those that you let know. So don't feel like, you know, everybody's gonna look at me different, or people are not gonna accept me into their lives the same, or want to have a relationship with me, or they're gonna think I'm crazy. And if you have people in your life that do feel these things or think these things, then maybe you need new friends, or you need to get around better people that will support you and love you and nourish you and nurture you, because that is who you need when you're going through a mental health crisis. Something else that's very real for me is there's always a threat of relapse. Because of bipolar disorder, there's so many varying triggers and things that could cause a relapse. It could be a lot of transition in your life and stress. It could be having a baby could trigger a relapse. Changing your medication could trigger a relapse. There's so many things. So the key with my diagnosis is just really making sure that I'm being honest about what I'm going through and experiencing, knowing where I'm at day to day, because today could be drastically different than tomorrow. So I try and just really do some self-reflection to say, okay, when you woke up, how are you feeling? Is there anything you need to be concerned about? Who do you need to call? Who do you need to talk to? So relapse is a constant issue in the back of my mind because I'm terrified to relapse and I don't want to feel like I'm a failing, but I also have to acknowledge that that's a huge part of this mental illness. Another thing with bipolar disorder is your sleep hygiene. It's so important, and that has been key for me. I never used to sleep. I used to wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes and go to bed at like 2 in the morning and then do it again, where I'd go to bed at 5 in the morning, wake up for work at 8 in the morning, and then I was getting no sleep. And then out of getting no sleep, I was completely unable to emotionally regulate. It was like I was a huge hot mess every single day. So I just tried to really work on getting a routine. Okay, by 10 o'clock I take my meds. By this time I need to be in bed. By this time I'm waking up. By this time I'm, eating lunch. Because even food and your health and your diet are crucial for preventing relapse. So I'm always just trying to ensure that I'm doing the best I can with the things that I can control, because I can't control that I have a mental illness. I can't control that I have to take medication. I can't control that I've been traumatized many times in my life, and those things have provoked this mental illness. But I can control taking care of me now and making sure that I'm the best version of myself now, and making sure that no matter what, I'm always doing the things that I need to do to ensure that I have a good mental health level, or health in general. So let's break for 1 second, because I have to tell you, I've been enjoying my snacks. I've been enjoying nature, and I'm enjoying talking to you guys. I hope that in the future, when I do these therapeutic picnics, that you guys can join me with your food while you're watching one of my videos, and you're sitting outside on a blanket and we can talk. Another huge challenge when dealing with bipolar disorder type 2 or any of my mental illnesses has been letting people in. For a long time, I was scared to tell people about it because I thought that they would judge me. And then the times that I would tell them about it, they would be open or act like they're open to hearing what I have to say. And then when I share with them everything that I've gone through, they respond like it's way too much for them. Like they don't want to hear about it. It's too much. It makes them uncomfortable. So that's always left me feeling like I was really alone in this. And I kind of just learned to be 100% transparent with who I am. I get so much positive feedback from my followers about talking about mental health and wanting people to do better with their mental health. And that has really been my motivation and inspiration for doing these type of videos. So going back to what it's like to live with a mental illness, it's important for people to know that not all mental illnesses are the same. All of them can be approached with compassion and empathy and love and support and motivation and encouragement. However, how you're going to interact with someone who has schizophrenia and you're helping them through a crisis might be different than helping someone with an OCD through a crisis or helping someone with bipolar disorder through crisis. They're all very different. So it's not to say that you can't use generic and kind of basic skills to support your loved ones with a mental health challenge, but it's also to be mindful of what that mental health issue entails. For me, a lot of it entails my moods and my interpersonal relationships. So that's going to be very different than somebody who might have a phobia of germs. It's like a OCD with germs or OCD with organization. So that's going to be a different topic, a different discussion, a different approach, right? The key is to also allow, when you're helping somebody with a mental health issue, allow them to tell you what they need. Don't just expect to know what they need, and don't expect to deal with everybody the same or how you think that you would want to be dealt with. Sometimes it takes a listening ear for you to just kind of take a second and listen to what the needs are of that individual to best support them and help them with their challenge or their crisis. Also, understand that Mental health is a wave. It goes up and down. People can seem and be completely fine today and tomorrow be falling apart and feeling like their life is falling apart and feeling like all of their traumas are keeping them prohibited from increasing their satisfaction in life or achieving something or meeting their goals. So just being understanding of the fact that it might not fix today. It might not ever fix. There's no necessarily end to having a mental health challenge. It might just be that they've learned better coping skills or they learned better tools in order to manage their mental health challenge. Before I go, I just want to leave you guys with this, okay? For those of you that are supporting a loved one with a mental health challenge, or those of you that have a mental health challenge, in either regard, just remember empathy should come 100% first, okay? The other thing is, if you have a mental health issue or challenge or illness or disorder, however you want to label it, just take care of yourself. Don't allow stigma from friends and family to discourage you from going to therapy or taking medication or being the best version of yourself. Whatever you need and you feel is worthwhile to make yourself better, you need to do it. Make sure you give yourself the optimal quality of life and the best chance at being progressive and always being in control of your mental illness. It's really easy to get discouraged by those around us, especially if we're looking for answers. We're trying to figure out what medications work. We're trying to figure out what therapy works. You're trying to figure out what's wrong. Why are you responding the way you are? Why are you not receiving things the way you should receive them in order to be a better person? When you're going through all of that, it's really easy to get caught up in what people say and what people's opinions are. But really, the best and most valuable opinion is that of the professionals and yourself. Let your intuition guide you. Also, you should pray. If you are into God and you believe in God, you need to pray. You need to get on your knees. You need to ask God for guidance. You need to ask God for direction. You need to ask Him for healing, for support, for encouragement. And you will see the changes and the results in doing that. Okay guys, it's time to go. I hope that you guys enjoyed our therapeutic picnic today, and I hope that we can do more of these at a later time. Anybody out there that has questions for me, that wants to know more about what it's like to have bipolar disorder or any other mental illness, please message me, please comment, please like, please subscribe, because it's so important that you follow this channel to get all of your other mental health support and resources that you need. I am always transparent, raw, and real, and I forever will be, because it's so important that as a community we are growing and healing forward. Sorry, that was a mosquito. We are growing and healing forward to be better people, to be better in this world. I hope that you guys continue to watch this channel. Make sure right now you go and subscribe, you hit that notifications button, and like and comment and share with your friends and family if you like today's video. So much more to come. We're always transparent on this channel. We like to grow and heal forward. That is our motto here, and I hope that you guys continue to join me and continue to stay blessed, watch more videos, and in the meantime, we're out.